Hey guys, Anime West here. We're back with the next chapter of Seraph of the End, chapter 153. So we're starting off with Shinoa and Mahiru. Shinoa says big sister, and she says, "Oh hey Shinoa, you came. This title is chapter The Flash of Youth." Mahiru says, Did you watch me fight?" Shinoa says, "Yeah, I was eavesdropping the whole time." Mahiru says, "Pervy peeping Tom," and Shinoa just says, she says, "I really gave it my all, you know." And Shinoa says, "Yeah." Says, "But I still lost." He's like, "Yeah, you lost pretty bad." And so Ash says, "Hey Shinoa, what do you think it means to live?" And she says, "You're the genius, don't ask me." And Mahiru's like, "Oh, but I devoted my whole life to protecting you." And he's like, "Liar." Says so. And then Shinoa says, "What did it mean to live in the end? Let your precious little sister in on the secret before you go on ahead." And he says, well, it's kind of like a brief flash of light, I guess." And Shinoa says, "That certainly sounds cool, but it's also impenetrable. Break it down for me." Mahiru's like, did everything I could, everything in my power, gave life my best." Shinoa says, "Okay." And she says, Mahiru says, "I fell in love. I was like, this is totally my reason for living." And Shinoa's like, "Right." And she says, Mahiru says, "Then I worked hard and tried my best, and I lived as hard as I could. But in the end, no matter how much effort I made, how much effort anybody makes, we all get old and die, everyone with no exception." And Shinoa says, "Very true." And she says, Mahiru says, "So it's like, what's really important? What's worth it to each person? Our lives are all this short. People live and shine for barely an instant," and we see, like, as she's talking, her hand is like slowly turning black. So like she's turning into a demon as she's like saying all this. And she says, "And then lose it. Well, our lives are all this short. People live and shine bright, shine for barely an instant, and then we lose it, our youth behind us. And if we're only truly alive when when we're living our hardest, then it's like a flash." Is that why you put it that way? And she says something like that. And then Meyer says, "You're just getting ready to shine. You decided to live for love, right?" And Shinoa like blushes and says, "Yes, I fell in love just like you did. I'm 16 now, after all." And Mahir says, "Treasure that. That instant is all there is to life. Focus on yours. You don't have to remember us." And then Mahir says, "Live now, live for the now. Gur and I have no regrets. We gave it our all. We don't want any pity or sympathy. We live to the fullest." And Shinoa says, "What am I supposed to do, though?" And then Mahir, like, hits her on the back and says, "Live how you want, love how you want, enjoy life with everything you got." And Shinoa's like, "But you protected me all these years. You gave me power and opportunity, even if even if it puts you at a disadvantage." And she says, Mahir says, "Because you always had greater potential than me. That's why I shared my power with you." Shinoa says, "That's a lie. You're the gifted one." And Mahir's like, "Meh, shut it. I don't want to hear it. I told you I lived my hardest, right? Helped my sister, and I loved my man with all I had. Do you have a problem with that?" And Shinoa's like, "Yes, I do. I wanted you to be around for a little longer to spend time with you." And Mahir, like, hugs her, and Shinoa's like, says, "Sorry for leaving this world to you, Shinoa. I wanted to do a little more." And yeah, we see Shinoa's eyes. Mahir says, "But it's okay." It's like the demon's like all the way up to her face now. It's like slowly encroaching as she's talking. It says, "But it's okay. I know you can handle it." See Shinoa with a tear in her eye. It says, As Mahir says, you're more amazing than I was. And then Mahir says, you can do it. And we see that Shino's like full on crying now. She's like, big sis, no. She says, sorry, I gotta go. Gurren and Shin are waiting, and then Shinoa yells, don't go. She says, good luck, I'm rooting for you. And she disappears. Whew, and so yeah. And outside we have, it says, good luck, try hard, but try hard for what? For who? And she's thinking, this is what Shinoa's thinking. The others, I'm sure, want to resurrect all of humanity. Heck, then there's you. He's going on about saving everyone or whatnot. And I bet he'll sacrifice himself as the price. Yet, I'm not particularly dissatisfied with my life. If I live as hard as I can, I'll be satisfied. First, I get Yuichiro back, and then that's it. I don't do anything else. That's my dream. Sacrificing no one, letting no one be cursed, living together with my surviving friends, giving thanks for being alive, and just enjoying ourselves until the end. It's my dream and mine alone. I doubt anyone else shares it with me. So Yoichi says, what's going on with Yuichiro and the others? And Shino's like, huh? And Kimizuki says, what about the lieutenant colonel? You said he lost. Is he still alive? Or... And she says, Mitsu's like, Shinoa, are you okay? Whew. And then she says, anyway, I think I was about to say, right now we need to move to a safe location and rethink our plan. And so she, like, steps forward and she trips. And Mitsuba catches her, is like, whoa. She says, Mitsuba says, Lieutenant Colonel's dead, isn't he? And she says, and your sister, too. And so, yeah, Yoichi just repeats this, Lieutenant Colonel's dead. Kimizuki says, Shinoa, the hell is going on now? What are we fighting against? Who should we believe? Whew. And so, yeah, she's just thinking, their interests and mine don't align anymore. What's the best thing to do now? Deceive them and use them. And so, yeah, Yoichi says, Kimizuki, now isn't the time for this. And he's like, huh, but... Yoichi says, Shinoa just watched the lieutenant and her... Lieutenant Colonel and her sister die. It's not the time. And then he was just like, oh yeah, fair point. I have a sister too. I know what you're going through. She's thinking, no, you don't. I don't want to resurrect her like you want to resurrect yours. Kimizuki says, and that's why I trust you. You're our leader. Give the order and we'll obey you. Tell us what do we do now? And she's just thinking, I should just lie, trick them, use them, do what my sister did, and take all responsibility on myself. But then she remembers, you're more amazing than I was, and so she just says, everyone, I'm sorry. I don't want to save our families. So yeah, just says honestly what she's thinking, and everyone's like shocked, like what? Huh? Ooh. And so yeah, she's thinking, or she says what she's been thinking. Watching Lieutenant Colonel and my sister die, it hit me. Maybe bringing back the dead is a bad idea. There's no inherent meaning to life. We can't look back at the past. We need to live and be thankful for what we have now. She says, yes, I may be wrong. I'm still only 16. Maybe I haven't found the meaning to life. That's all. And she says, resurrecting all of humanity only for one person to shoulder the punishment alone, while everyone else smiles, laughs, and enjoys all the benefits. That doesn't feel right. Ooh. And so yeah, Kimizu's like, hold it, but what about my sister? He's like, I know. Trust me, I know, but who will accept the punishment for bringing her back? Yuichiro, me? And then Kimizuki says, I will. And Yuichi says, I will. And then, yeah. Shows them the first, like, snaps her fingers, or we see, like, what happened to the first, and all screaming. And so, like, she snaps her fingers and says, "Just so you know, that was the previous punishment." The pain continues for literal eons, never ending. Whew, if this is really what you want, then I'll accept the punishment. I'll be the only sacrifice that'll be for the best. And Meats was like, "No, you can't. That's what this discussion is about. Our generation wants to negotiate with death. People die suddenly, simply, there's no getting around it. Lieutenant Colonel died, my sister died, but isn't the ability to die beautiful? Doesn't our youth, our life shine brighter because it ends?" And she says, "Let's take a vote. I'll go with whatever the group decides. If possible, I want to live with all of you. You each your own Mitsuki, or Mitsu, Kimizuki, Yoichi, all of us together, hanging out, talking, and laughing about dumb things. Being thankful for the now and then dying peacefully when our time comes. That's my vote." And so Mitsuba says, "I'm with you, Shinoa." Kimizuki's like, ugh. And so, yeah, Mitsuba says, "I'm tired of watching people suffer. I don't want to see anyone hurt anymore." Whew. And so, yeah, then we got Yoichi kind of thinking. Shinoa says, "By the way, Yuichiro said he's going to save everyone while taking the punishment himself. If you agree with him, take this hand. And then you may leave. As of this moment, we will be enemies." So Yoichi's like, "What? I don't know, big sis. Which do I pick?" Hmm. And so, yeah. Kimizuki says, "Oh, hell no, screw this. You're telling me to give up my sister." And Shinoa says, "No, I am not. I'm telling you to choose her or us. Her or us." Ooh, and so yeah, Kimizuki then yells, "Are you telling me I have to abandon my baby sister?" And so yeah, both Kimizuki and Yoichi are the ones that are like super struggling with this, because understandably, that's kind of what they've been fighting for this whole time, is to resurrect their loved ones. And so now they're given this choice of going back and stopping that whole thing. But overall, this was a really good chapter. Hope y'all enjoyed this one. Really emotional moments at the start with Shinoa and Mahiru kind of just talking as she slowly turned into a demon. But yeah, hope y'all enjoy this video. If you do, leave a like, comment on it, sub the channel, hit that notification bell, and I'll see y'all next time. So, see y'all next month. Later. Bye.